The habits that made people successful in 2020 won't cut it anymore. Recent workplace studies show that 90% of remote workers report equal or higher productivity levels, yet most people still follow outdated productivity advice. While the majority struggle with traditional methods, successful people have discovered new patterns that work specifically for today's demands. Today, I'm sharing 5 brain-backed habits that separate today's successful people from everyone else. You can start implementing them tomorrow morning. But first, you need to understand why these habits work so differently than what you've been taught. The answer lies in something researchers only recently discovered about how successful minds actually function. The science behind modern success patterns. Recent neuroscience research reveals something remarkable about how successful people's brains operate during their daily routines. Brain scans show these individuals exhibit completely different neural activity patterns compared to average performers. Studies confirm that successful people sequence their tasks to match their brain's natural attention peaks, creating optimal conditions for peak performance from the moment they wake up. This discovery explains why traditional productivity advice fails for most people. Research confirms yesterday's time management models don't match today's distracted brains. We're trying to apply strategies designed for minds that function differently before our digital environment rewired our neural pathways. The constant notifications, multitasking demands, and information overload have fundamentally altered how our minds operate. The top achievers in 2025 have figured this out. They've learned to work with their brain's natural patterns instead of fighting against them. When most people force themselves to follow rigid morning routines or outdated time management systems, successful people design their habits around how their minds actually function in our current environment. They understand that their brains are different machines now, and they've adapted accordingly. This understanding forms the foundation of all modern success habits. Everything successful people do differently stems from this core neurological insight. They recognize that their minds process information in waves, not steady streams. They know that attention operates like a muscle that gets fatigued and needs recovery. They understand that decision-making capacity depletes throughout the day and must be protected. Most importantly, they realize that their brains are constantly seeking patterns and connections, so they structure their habits to satisfy this natural tendency. Successful people align their morning habits with their natural brain rhythms to protect focus and decision-making. While average performers experience scattered mental activity that jumps between different tasks without clear coordination, successful people maintain synchronized patterns throughout their routines. Their minds work in harmony rather than competing for resources. This coordination doesn't happen by accident. Successful people have learned to sequence their activities in ways that support their brain's natural rhythms. They start their mornings with activities that enhance mental clarity rather than fragment it. They avoid early morning activities that create chaos, like checking social media or diving into reactive tasks. Instead, they engage in practices that strengthen the connections between different brain regions. The habits we'll explore target specific aspects of cognitive performance based on this brain science. Each one works because it aligns with how successful people's minds actually operate rather than how we think they should operate. The first habit optimizes the brain's goal processing systems. The second enhances decision-making efficiency. The third strengthens attention regulation. Each subsequent habit builds on these neurological foundations. Repetition still builds habits, but the type of repetition that works has completely changed. Traditional habit formation focused on mindless repetition until behaviors became automatic. Modern successful people use what researchers call conscious repetition. They repeat behaviors while paying attention to how these actions affect their mental state, energy levels, and cognitive performance. This awareness creates stronger neural pathways than mindless repetition ever could. The brain science reveals why some people can maintain consistent habits while others struggle. Successful people's brains show stronger connections between the areas responsible for intention and the areas responsible for action. When they decide to do something, their brains have clear pathways to translate that intention into behavior. average performers show weaker connections between these regions, which explains why they often know what they should do, but struggle to actually do it. This neurological difference isn't fixed. The research demonstrates that these brain patterns can be developed through specific practices. Successful people have essentially trained their brains to function more efficiently. This shift in how our brains work explains why the habits we'll discuss truly move the needle. The digital environment that created these challenges also provides new opportunities. Successful people use technology to support their brain's natural functions rather than disrupt them. They leverage apps and systems that enhance cognitive coordination instead of fragmenting it. They structure their digital interactions to work with their attention patterns rather than against them. Understanding these brain patterns also explains why successful people seem to have more willpower than others. They don't actually have stronger willpower. They have more efficient brains. Their neural pathways for self-control and decision-making operate with less friction and less energy expenditure. What looks like superior willpower is actually superior brain function. The framework for modern success habits starts with optimizing brain function first. Each habit will examine targets a specific cognitive system. Some enhance the brain's ability to process goals and maintain motivation. Others improve the neural networks responsible for priority setting and decision-making. Still others strengthen the brain's capacity for sustained attention and deep focus. The most successful people in 2025 treat their minds like high-performance athletes treat their bodies. They understand that peak mental performance requires specific training, proper nutrition, adequate recovery, and strategic preparation. They don't expect their brains to perform optimally without deliberate practices designed to enhance cognitive function. They monitor their mental energy levels throughout the day and adjust their activities accordingly. They know which tasks require peak cognitive performance and schedule them during their brain's optimal functioning periods. They protect their attention like athletes protect their physical conditioning. They create environments that support rather than undermine their mental performance. The successful people who have embraced this brain-based approach report dramatic improvements in their ability to maintain focus, make clear decisions, and take consistent action toward their goals. They describe feeling more in control of their mental processes and less at the mercy of random thoughts and impulses. Their daily routines feel more natural and sustainable because they align with their brain's actual operating systems. This scientific foundation sets the stage for understanding why the following habits work so effectively. The first habit reveals how successful people have completely revolutionized their approach to setting and achieving objectives. What they're doing will surprise you. Digital-first goal architecture. Successful people have completely revolutionized how they approach objectives through what researchers call digital-first goal architecture. Recent studies show that 89% of today's millionaires use a completely different goal-setting method than what was taught even 5 years ago. They've abandoned the traditional approach of writing down goals and hoping willpower carries them through. The old methods don't work anymore because our environment has changed too dramatically. Traditional goal setting actually reduces achievement rates in our current environment. When people write down long-term goals and check them monthly or quarterly, they lose momentum between review sessions. The digital world moves too fast for this approach. Information changes daily. Opportunities appear and disappear within weeks. Market conditions shift constantly. Static goal setting creates a mismatch between the speed of change and the speed of adaptation. Successful people have developed what researchers call goal architecture. They structure their objectives like software developers structure code, just as programmers create modular, interconnected systems that can adapt and evolve. Successful people build goal systems that respond to real-time feedback and changing conditions. They don't just set goals, they engineer goal ecosystems. These goal ecosystems have 3 core components. The foundation layer contains their fundamental life objectives and core values. The application layer houses their annual and quarterly targets. The interface layer manages their weekly and daily actions. Each layer connects to the others through specific protocols that ensure alignment while allowing flexibility. When circumstances change, they modify the interface layer without disrupting the foundation layer. Modern achievers use digital tools not just for tracking progress but for creating dynamic goal networks. They build databases that link short-term actions to long-term vision through multiple pathways. A single daily action might contribute to 3 different quarterly objectives. A weekly project might advance 2 separate annual goals. This interconnectedness creates momentum that compounds across multiple areas simultaneously. Their digital systems automatically surface relevant goals based on context. When they open their task management app in the morning, they see goals related to their energy level and available time. When they check their phone during lunch break, they see micro goals that can be completed in 15 minutes. When they review their week on Sunday evening, they see progress patterns across all their major objectives. The system adapts the goal presentation to match their current situation. Successful people build automated review systems that most people completely miss. They program their devices to prompt them with specific questions at predetermined intervals. Tuesday mornings might trigger a review of financial goals. Thursday afternoons might surface questions about relationship objectives. Saturday mornings might prompt reflection on health and fitness progress. These automated prompts prevent goals from becoming forgotten documents stored in digital folders. Their review systems include both progress assessment and goal evolution protocols. They don't just check whether they're moving toward their targets. They evaluate whether their targets still make sense given new information. They adjust goals based on what they've learned about themselves, their market, and their capabilities. This continuous refinement keeps their goals relevant and motivating rather than outdated and burdensome. The timing patterns successful people use separate them from everyone else. They don't review goals randomly or only when they feel motivated. They follow specific schedules that align with their natural cognitive rhythms and external demands. They conduct major goal reviews during periods when their analytical thinking peaks. They schedule motivational goal sessions during times when they typically experience energy dips. They time goal-setting activities to precede important decision points in their business or career cycles. They also use micro-review sessions throughout each day. These brief moments of goal consciousness happen during transition periods between activities. Walking from their car to their office, they mentally connect the upcoming meeting to their quarterly objectives. Standing in line at the coffee shop, they review their daily priorities. Waiting for their computer to start up, they visualize their long-term vision. These micro-sessions maintain goal awareness without requiring dedicated time blocks. Environmental triggers and digital cues maintain their goal focus throughout the day. They program their phone wallpaper to display their current priority. They set calendar reminders that don't just tell them what to do, but why it matters for their larger objectives. They position physical objects in their workspace that connect to specific goals. When they see their water bottle, they remember their health goals. When they touch their notebook, they think about their learning objectives. When they check their watch, they recall their time management targets. Their digital environments actively support goal achievement rather than just displaying information. They organize their computer desktop with folders named after their major objectives. They structure their email filters to highlight messages related to priority goals. They customize their social media feeds to include content that reinforces their target behaviors. They use browser bookmarks that connect to resources supporting their current goals. Every digital interaction reminds them of what they're working toward. Successful people also create goal accountability through their digital networks. They share specific targets with mentors, colleagues, and friends through private messaging apps. They join online communities focused on their particular objectives. They participate in digital accountability groups that provide regular check-ins and progress sharing. They use apps that automatically notify their accountability partners when they complete or miss important milestones. Their approach to goal measurement goes beyond simple completion tracking. They monitor leading indicators that predict goal achievement, rather than just lagging indicators that report what already happened. For financial goals, they track daily income-producing activities rather than just monthly revenue. For health goals, they measure daily nutrition choices rather than just weekly weight changes. For relationship goals, they count meaningful conversations rather than just major relationship milestones. This measurement approach allows them to make real-time adjustments before small problems become major setbacks. When their leading indicators show declining performance, they investigate immediately, rather than waiting for the lagging indicators to confirm the problem. They treat their goal systems like pilots treat flight instruments, constantly monitoring multiple signals to maintain their desired trajectory. The goal architecture approach connects directly to how successful people make decisions throughout each day. When they face competing demands on their time and attention, they reference their goal hierarchy to determine which activities deserve their focus. They don't rely on intuition or mood to guide their choices. They use their goal systems as decision-making frameworks that provide clear direction even during chaotic periods. This systematic approach transforms goal achievement from willpower-dependent to system-dependent. Instead of relying on motivation and discipline to drive progress, they create environmental and digital systems that naturally guide them toward their objectives. When the system works properly, achieving goals feels more like following a navigation system than climbing a mountain through sheer determination. But having clear goals means nothing without the ability to prioritize effectively throughout the day. Most people set priorities once in the morning and hope they stay relevant. Successful people operate completely differently. They've discovered that effective priority management requires constant recalibration based on changing conditions and energy levels. Micro-priority decision-making. This constant adjustment happens through what researchers call micro-priority decision-making. Studies tracking software reveal that successful people make priority decisions 47 times per day, while average people make them only 3 times. This massive difference explains why some people accomplish extraordinary results, while others stay busy without making real progress. The successful people aren't working longer hours or pushing harder. They're simply recalibrating their focus throughout the day, instead of setting priorities once and hoping for the best. Traditional priority setting happens too infrequently to be effective in our rapidly changing world. Most people create their priority list on Monday morning and stick with it all week regardless of what happens. New information arrives. Urgent requests come in. Market conditions shift. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. Energy levels fluctuate. Yet they keep following the same static priority list they created days earlier. This approach worked when business moved slowly and communication happened through letters and phone calls. It fails completely in our current environment where everything changes constantly. Successful people have developed micro-priority sessions throughout their day. These brief moments of strategic thinking happen during natural transition points between activities. When they finish a phone call, they spend 30 seconds asking which task deserves their attention next. When they complete a project, they pause to evaluate what should come next based on current circumstances rather than their original plan. When they return from lunch, they reassess their afternoon priorities based on what they learned during the morning. These micro-sessions take less than a minute each, but dramatically improve their focus and results. The energy impact matrix replaced the outdated, urgent, important grid that most productivity experts still teach. The traditional urgent, important system doesn't account for personal energy levels or the compound effects of different activities. Successful people evaluate every task using 2 questions. First, how much energy will this require given my current mental and physical state? Second, how much will completing this activity impact my long-term objectives? High-impact activities that match their current energy level get immediate attention. High-impact activities that require more energy than they currently have get scheduled for when their energy will be higher. Low-impact activities get eliminated or delegated regardless of how urgent they seem. Their technique for identifying compound tasks versus busy work has transformed how they approach their daily activities. Compound tasks are activities that create results beyond their immediate completion. writing a proposal that could lead to multiple future projects, having a conversation that strengthens an important relationship, learning a skill that will improve their performance for years, creating a system that will save time indefinitely. Busy work feels productive in the moment, but doesn't create lasting value. Responding to emails that don't require responses, attending meetings without clear objectives, organizing files that are already functional, researching topics they won't actually use. They ruthlessly eliminate busy work to create more time for compound activities. When making priority decisions, they factor in their current energy levels, available time blocks, and cognitive load rather than just following a predetermined list. High energy periods get reserved for their most challenging and important work. Medium energy periods handle routine tasks that still require attention. Low energy periods become opportunities for planning, organizing, and administrative work. They also consider their cognitive load, which measures how much mental processing they're already handling. When their cognitive load is high from complex decisions or stressful situations, they choose simpler tasks that won't overload their mental capacity. Time blocks influence their priority decisions more than most people realize. They don't try to squeeze major projects into 15-minute gaps between meetings. They don't start complex analysis when they only have 30 minutes before their next appointment. Instead, they match their task complexity to their available time. Short time blocks get used for quick communications, brief planning sessions, or simple administrative tasks. Medium time blocks handle focused work that doesn't require deep thinking. Long time blocks are protected for their most important and complex projects. The one thing protocol becomes essential when facing overwhelming task lists. Instead of trying to make progress on multiple fronts simultaneously, they identify the single most important activity that will create the biggest positive impact on their goals. Everything else gets postponed, delegated, or eliminated until this one thing gets completed. This approach prevents the scattered attention that makes people feel busy but unproductive. It concentrates their mental resources on activities that actually matter, rather than spreading their focus across numerous low-impact tasks. When they feel overwhelmed by competing priorities, they use a simple filtering question. If they could only complete one item from their current list before taking a month-long vacation, which activity would create the most positive momentum for their return? This question cuts through the noise of urgent but unimportant demands to identify what really deserves their attention. The answer becomes their immediate focus, while everything else gets rescheduled or reconsidered. Buffer time gets built into their schedules specifically for unexpected high-priority opportunities. Instead of booking their calendars completely full, they reserve 20% of their time for responding to important developments they couldn't predict. When a valuable networking opportunity arises, they have time available. When a potential client wants to meet quickly, they can accommodate the request. When market conditions create a time-sensitive opportunity, they can respond immediately. This buffer time transforms unexpected events from stressful interruptions into strategic advantages. Their priority decisions connect directly to their goal architecture systems. When they identify a new priority, they immediately link it to their broader objectives to ensure alignment. They ask which quarterly goal this activity will advance. They determine how this task fits into their larger project timelines. They evaluate whether this priority supports their annual targets or creates a distraction from more important work. This connection prevents them from getting sidetracked by activities that feel important but don't actually contribute to their success. Micro-priority thinking transforms reactive schedules into proactive success systems. Instead of responding to whatever demands attention most loudly, they choose activities based on strategic value and current capacity. Instead of letting urgent tasks dominate important ones, they protect time for high-impact work regardless of external pressure. Instead of hoping they'll find time for their priorities, they make time by eliminating activities that don't deserve their attention. But even the most sophisticated priority management system means nothing without the right people supporting your objectives. Most successful people understand that their biggest breakthroughs don't come from working harder on their existing tasks. They come from connecting with the right
relationship
people
capital
who can open doors
acceleration.
that would otherwise remain
Successful
closed
people
forever.
understand
That relationships function as the primary acceleration mechanism for every other success strategy they implement. This systematic approach is called relationship capital acceleration. Just as financial capital grows through compound interest, relationship capital accelerates through strategic investments that create increasing returns over time. Every meaningful interaction they have with someone increases the value of that relationship. Every favor they provide creates reciprocal value. Every introduction they make strengthens multiple relationships simultaneously. Recent analysis shows that 94% of today's breakthrough opportunities come through relationships. Yet most people invest less than 10% of their time in relationship building. They spend countless hours perfecting their skills and optimizing their productivity systems. Meanwhile, the people who achieve extraordinary results dedicate significant portions of their day to building and maintaining relationships. This isn't coincidence. It's strategy. Successful people have developed a completely different approach to networking that doesn't feel like networking at all. They've eliminated the awkward small talk, the forced business card exchanges, and the transactional conversations that make most people uncomfortable with relationship building. Instead, they've created natural systems for connecting with others that feel authentic and valuable for everyone involved. Their approach focuses on creating genuine relationships rather than collecting contacts. Their daily practice centers around value-first interactions where they lead every conversation by offering help rather than seeking it. When they meet someone new, their first questions focus on understanding that person's challenges, goals, and interests. They listen for ways they can provide assistance, make useful introductions, or share relevant information. Before asking for anything, they offer something of value. This approach immediately differentiates them from the majority of people who start conversations by talking about themselves or their needs. The value they offer doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive. Sometimes it's sharing an article related to someone's industry. Sometimes it's making an introduction between two people who should know each other. Sometimes it's offering feedback on a project or idea. Sometimes it's simply remembering important details about someone's business or family and asking thoughtful follow-up questions in future conversations. The key is consistency. They make offering value their default mode in every interaction. Digital tools help them maintain meaningful contact with hundreds of people without feeling overwhelmed. They use customer relationship management systems not just for clients, but for their entire professional network. These systems track important details about each person, remind them when to follow up, and suggest relevant ways to add value based on that person's interests and needs. They set up automated reminders to reach out to key relationships on regular schedules. Their contact management goes beyond basic information like email addresses and phone numbers. They record personal details that help them build stronger connections. They note family members' names, important business projects, professional goals, hobbies, and interests. They track the history of their interactions, including favors exchanged, introductions made, and value provided. This information allows them to personalize every interaction and demonstrate genuine interest in the other person's life and success. Bridge people represent their most valuable relationship targets. These individuals have extensive networks and strong reputations in their industries. They're naturally connected to many other successful and influential people. When successful people build relationships with bridge people, they gain access to entire networks rather than just individual connections. They identify bridge people by looking for individuals who frequently make introductions, host networking events, serve on boards, or hold leadership positions in professional organizations. Building relationships with bridge people requires patience and genuine value creation. These individuals already have many people trying to connect with them, so successful people focus on providing exceptional value rather than just seeking access to their networks. They offer their own expertise, make valuable introductions from their networks, and support the bridge person's projects and initiatives. Once they establish trust and credibility with bridge people, They gain advocates who naturally think of them when relevant opportunities arise. Content creation and insight sharing attract the right people to them naturally. Instead of chasing after potential connections, they create valuable content that draws their ideal network to them. They write articles, share industry insights, speak at conferences, and participate in online discussions related to their expertise. This approach positions them as thoughtful leaders rather than desperate networkers. People seek them out rather than avoiding their outreach attempts. Following up and maintaining relationships requires specific systems to avoid being pushy or transactional. They space their contact attempts appropriately, reaching out when they have something valuable to offer rather than just when they need something. They vary their communication methods, sometimes sending articles, sometimes making introductions, sometimes inviting people to relevant events. They pay attention to how people prefer to communicate and adapt their approach accordingly. Their follow-up messages focus on the other person's interests and needs rather than their own agenda. They reference previous conversations to show they were listening and remember important details. They ask thoughtful questions about the other person's projects and goals. When they do have requests, they make them specific and easy to fulfill. They always offer something in return, even if it's just keeping the other person informed about relevant developments in their industry. Leveraging existing relationships to create opportunities for others multiplies their own opportunities exponentially. When they make successful introductions between two people in their network, both individuals become more invested in helping them in the future. When they recommend someone for a speaking opportunity or business deal, that person becomes an advocate for them. This multiplication effect means that every relationship they build strengthens their entire network. The most successful people treat relationship building as their most important business development activity. They allocate specific time in their schedules for relationship maintenance, just as they would for any other critical business function. They invest in relationship building tools and systems. They measure their relationship building efforts and track the results just as carefully as they track their financial performance. But even the strongest professional relationships can't compensate for poor personal performance caused by energy depletion. Most people focus entirely on managing their time while completely ignoring the foundation that makes everything else possible. Energy optimization protocols. That foundation is energy. Successful people have discovered that energy management trumps time management every single time. Recent research tracking the daily patterns of top performers reveals they focus more on energy optimization than schedule optimization. While average people obsess over cramming more activities into their calendars, successful people concentrate on maximizing their energy levels to accomplish more with less effort. They understand that having 8 productive hours beats having 16 exhausted hours. Traditional health advice fails successful people because it doesn't account for the unique demands of high achievement. The standard recommendations assume everyone has predictable schedules, regular meal times, and consistent stress levels. These assumptions don't match the reality of people pursuing ambitious goals. Their schedules change frequently based on opportunities and deadlines. Their stress levels fluctuate with market conditions and project demands. Their energy requirements vary dramatically depending on whether they're in creative mode, analytical mode, or execution mode. Successful people have developed energy optimization protocols that treat energy as their most valuable resource. They manage it with the same precision they apply to their finances. They track their energy patterns to identify when they naturally peak and when they typically crash. They experiment with different strategies to maximize their energy production and minimize energy waste. They create customized protocols that match their specific energy needs rather than following generic approaches. Their energy optimization starts with understanding that they have 3 distinct types of energy requiring different management strategies. Physical energy comes from their body's capacity to perform activities and maintain alertness. Mental energy represents their cognitive ability to focus, analyze, and make decisions. Emotional energy reflects their capacity to stay motivated, handle stress, and maintain positive relationships. Each type operates on different cycles and responds to different interventions. They track all three types separately and use specific techniques to optimize each one. Nutrition timing strategies maintain stable blood sugar and cognitive performance throughout their demanding days. They eat protein within 30 minutes of waking to stabilize their blood sugar after the overnight fast. They consume small amounts of healthy fats with each meal to slow sugar absorption and extend satiety. They avoid large meals during their peak performance hours because digestion redirects energy away from their brain. They time their carbohydrate intake around their energy demands, eating more carbs before high-energy activities and fewer carbs during sedentary periods. Their approach to meal timing goes beyond basic nutrition advice. They eat their largest meal during their natural energy dip periods to use digestion as a recovery mechanism. They consume caffeine strategically, timing it to enhance their natural energy peaks rather than fighting their natural rhythms. They hydrate consistently throughout the day rather than drinking large amounts when they feel thirsty. They use specific supplements targeted to their individual energy needs rather than taking random vitamins. Exercise protocols get designed for busy schedules but maximum energy return. They focus on high-intensity interval training that provides cardiovascular benefits in minimal time. They incorporate strength training using compound movements that work multiple muscle groups simultaneously. They schedule exercise during their natural energy valleys to boost alertness for the remainder of their day. They treat exercise as energy investment rather than energy expenditure, choosing activities that increase their overall energy capacity. Their exercise timing aligns with their daily energy management strategy. Morning workouts boost their energy for the entire day. Afternoon workouts combat the natural post-lunch energy dip. Evening workouts help them process stress and improve sleep quality. They adjust their exercise intensity based on their current stress levels and energy reserves. High-stress periods get lower-intensity activities like walking or stretching. Low-stress periods allow for more intense training that builds their energy capacity for future demands. Strategic rest periods and recovery techniques prevent energy depletion before it occurs. They take brief breaks every 90 minutes to match their natural attention cycles. They use breathing exercises during transition periods to reset their nervous system. They practice progressive muscle relaxation when they notice physical tension building. They schedule complete rest days when their energy tracking indicates they need recovery time. These proactive recovery strategies prevent the energy crashes that force reactive rest periods. Sleep optimization methods extend far beyond getting 8 hours per night. They maintain consistent sleep and wake times even when their schedules vary. They create environmental conditions that support deep sleep, including temperature control, light management, and noise reduction. They avoid screens for at least 1 hour before bedtime to allow natural melatonin production. They use sleep tracking technology to identify patterns and optimize their sleep quality rather than just sleep quantity. Their sleep preparation starts several hours before bedtime. They finish eating at least 3 hours before sleep to avoid digestive interference. They complete their most stressful tasks early in the day to prevent worry from disrupting their sleep. They use evening routines that signal their brain to prepare for rest. They keep notebooks beside their bed to capture any thoughts that might prevent them from falling asleep quickly. Aligning their most demanding tasks with their natural energy peaks multiplies their effectiveness without increasing their effort. They identify their daily energy patterns through careful observation and tracking. They schedule their most important work during their peak energy periods. They batch similar activities together to minimize energy waste from task switching. They protect their high energy periods from interruptions and low priority activities. Their task alignment strategy considers both energy levels and energy types. Creative work gets scheduled during periods when their mental energy peaks, but their analytical energy remains fresh. Analytical work happens when their logical thinking capacity is highest. Routine tasks fill their low energy periods when they can still be productive without requiring peak performance. Social activities align with times when their emotional energy is strong and their desire for interaction is natural. Stress management techniques actually increase their resilience rather than just reducing stress. They reframe challenges as opportunities to build mental strength. They practice controlled stress exposure through challenging workouts or cold exposure to increase their stress tolerance. They develop multiple coping strategies so they can respond flexibly to different types of pressure. They view stress as information about their environment rather than something to eliminate completely. Successful people treat their body as the foundation that makes all other success habits possible. They understand that their physical energy determines their mental clarity, emotional stability, and behavioral consistency. Without optimized energy, their goal-setting systems become ineffective, their priority decisions become poor, and their relationship building becomes forced. Energy optimization enables every other success strategy to work at maximum effectiveness. But having abundant energy means nothing without the ability to channel it toward continuous growth. The most successful people understand that in our rapidly changing world, their competitive advantage depends not just on what they know today, but on how quickly they can learn what they need to know tomorrow. Continuous learning systems. Successful people have engineered systematic approaches to acquiring and applying knowledge that treat learning as their primary competitive advantage. Data tracking from productivity research companies reveals that successful people in 2025 consume information 340% more efficiently than the average person. They process more relevant content, retain more useful knowledge, and apply more insights to their actual work. This efficiency gap explains why some people stay current with rapidly evolving industries, while others fall behind despite spending more time reading and studying. The difference isn't intelligence or reading speed. It's their systematic approach to learning that treats information as raw material for improvement rather than entertainment for consumption. Most people struggle with information overload because they try to consume everything that seems relevant to their field. They subscribe to dozens of newsletters, follow hundreds of social media accounts, and bookmark countless articles they plan to read later. This approach creates anxiety rather than knowledge. They feel constantly behind and overwhelmed by the volume of information available. Meanwhile, successful people have developed filtering systems that deliver only the most valuable insights while blocking everything else. They understand that consuming less information, but applying it more thoroughly, creates better results than consuming massive amounts without clear application. Their systematic approach focuses on application rather than consumption from the moment they encounter new information. When they read an article, they immediately ask how this information could improve their current projects. When they attend a conference, they take notes organized around specific business challenges they're facing. When they listen to podcasts, they pause to consider which insights deserve immediate implementation. This application focus transforms passive consumption into active learning that produces measurable improvements in their performance. The teach-back method solidifies new knowledge immediately by forcing them to explain concepts in their own words. Within 24 hours of learning something new, they find opportunities to share this information with colleagues, clients, or team members. This sharing process reveals gaps in their understanding and strengthens their grasp of the material. Teaching others also creates accountability for actually using the information rather than just filing it away mentally. The act of explaining concepts forces them to organize their thoughts and identify practical applications. Content curation systems filter signal from noise in their specific fields using sophisticated criteria beyond simple relevance. They identify the handful of sources that consistently provide actionable insights related to their goals. They unsubscribe from publications that provide general information they can't use immediately. They use technology to aggregate content from their trusted sources and eliminate everything else. They set up automated systems that surface only the information that meets their specific criteria for usefulness and timeliness. Their curation process includes active feedback loops that improve their filtering over time. They track which sources provide information they actually use versus sources that just seem important. They monitor which types of content lead to concrete improvements in their work versus content that feels educational but doesn't change their behavior. They regularly audit their information diet and eliminate sources that aren't producing measurable value. This ongoing refinement ensures their learning system stays focused on content that drives results. Learning loops connect new information to existing projects and goals through structured review processes. When they encounter useful information, they immediately link it to specific current initiatives rather than storing it in general knowledge categories. They maintain active project files where they collect insights related to ongoing work. They schedule regular reviews of these files to identify patterns and connections between different pieces of information. This systematic connection process turns scattered insights into integrated knowledge that compounds over time. Learning sprints represent intensive periods focused on mastering specific skills that their success depends on. When they identify knowledge gaps that limit their progress, they dedicate concentrated time blocks to closing those gaps quickly. These sprints might last a few days for technical skills or several weeks for complex subjects. During learning sprints, they temporarily reduce other activities to focus intensively on acquiring and practicing new capabilities. This concentrated approach produces faster skill development than casual learning spread over months. Their learning sprint methodology includes clear objectives, structured practice sessions, and measurable outcomes. They define exactly what they want to learn and how they'll measure their progress. They break complex skills into components they can practice systematically. They seek feedback from experts or mentors during the learning process. They test their new capabilities in real situations rather than just theoretical exercises. This structured approach ensures learning sprints produce practical skills rather than just theoretical knowledge. Building learning into their daily routines requires no additional time commitments because they integrate it with existing activities. They listen to educational podcasts during commute time or while exercising. They read industry articles during lunch breaks or while waiting for appointments. They watch instructional videos while doing routine tasks that don't require full attention. They participate in online discussions related to their field during natural break periods. This integration approach makes continuous learning sustainable without competing with other priorities. Staying current with trends while avoiding shiny object syndrome requires clear criteria for evaluating new developments. They distinguish between fundamental changes that will reshape their industry and temporary fluctuations that create noise without lasting impact. They focus on trends that directly affect their target market, their competitive position, or their operational capabilities. They ignore developments that seem interesting but don't connect to their specific business objectives. This focused approach keeps them informed about important changes without getting distracted by every new trend. The compound effect of treating learning as a competitive advantage becomes obvious over time as their capabilities grow faster than their competitors. Each skill they master enables them to learn related skills more quickly. Each insight they apply successfully increases their ability to recognize and use similar insights in the future. Each expert relationship they build through learning provides access to additional knowledge and opportunities. This compounding effect means their learning investments produce increasing returns that create sustainable competitive advantages in their markets. However, all these learning systems become worthless if constant digital interruptions prevent deep focus and meaningful application. The most successful people understand that their ability to learn and implement depends entirely on digital boundary management from the relentless successful demands people have engineered their relationship with technology to create what researchers call digital boundary management. The average person checks their phone 144 times per day, according to recent digital behavior studies, while successful people have reduced this number to just 23 times through specific protocols they've developed and refined. This dramatic difference represents far more than personal discipline or willpower. It reflects a fundamental understanding that attention has become the scarcest and most valuable resource in our economy. While most people treat their devices as entertainment systems or communication tools, successful people have transformed them into precision instruments that support their objectives without hijacking their focus. Digital distractions represent the biggest threat to sustained success in 2025 because they attack the foundation of all achievement. Every notification breaks concentration and requires mental energy to refocus. Every social media check creates a dopamine hit that makes returning to challenging work more difficult. Every email ping shifts attention away from deep thinking toward reactive responding. The cumulative effect of these interruptions destroys the extended focus periods that complex problem-solving and creative work require. Most people lose between 2 and 4 hours of productive time daily to digital distractions without realizing the true cost to their progress and results. Their notification management strategies maintain necessary connectivity without constant interruption. They turn off all non-essential notifications, including social media alerts, news updates, promotional emails, and entertainment app messages. They allow only critical communications from important contacts to interrupt their work sessions. They use different notification sounds for different types of messages, so they can identify truly urgent communications without checking their device. They schedule specific times for checking messages rather than responding immediately to every notification. This selective approach keeps them accessible for important matters while protecting their focused work time from trivial interruptions. Most successful people group their notifications into 3 categories with different management protocols for each category. Emergency notifications from family members or key business contacts receive immediate attention, regardless of timing. Important notifications from clients, team members, or business partners get responded to during designated communication periods throughout the day. Everything else gets batched together and handled during specific times set aside for administrative tasks. This categorization system ensures they respond appropriately to different types of communication without letting less important messages interrupt their most valuable work. Deep work protection methods create uninterrupted focus time that enables complex thinking and creative problem solving. They physically separate themselves from their devices during their most important work sessions. They use website blocking software that prevents access to distracting sites during focus periods. They inform colleagues and family members about their deep work schedules to minimize interruptions. They choose work locations that naturally support concentration rather than encourage distraction. They prepare everything they need for deep work sessions in advance to avoid interruptions for forgotten materials or resources. Their deep work sessions follow specific protocols that maximize their effectiveness. They start each session by reviewing their objectives and success criteria for the work period. They eliminate all potential distractions before beginning, rather than trying to ignore them during the session. They take brief breaks every 90 minutes to match their natural attention cycles without completely breaking their focus. They end each session by reviewing their progress and planning their next steps. This structured approach turns deep work time into highly productive periods that advance their most important projects significantly. Technology automation frees up their mental energy for important decisions by handling routine choices automatically. They use scheduling software that eliminates back-and-forth communication about meeting times. They automate bill payments and financial transactions that don't require their direct oversight. They use email filters and templates that sort incoming messages and provide quick responses to common questions. They set up automated reminders for routine tasks and deadlines. They use decision-making frameworks for recurring choices so they don't waste mental energy on similar decisions repeatedly. This automation approach reduces their daily decision load and preserves their cognitive capacity for choices that actually impact their success. Social media strategies build their brand and expand their network without becoming time sinks that drain their productive energy. They post content during specific time blocks rather than throughout the day. They use scheduling tools to maintain consistent posting without being constantly connected to social platforms. They focus on creating valuable content that attracts their target audience rather than consuming content from others. They engage meaningfully with a select group of important contacts rather than trying to interact with everyone. They measure their social media activities by business results rather than engagement metrics that don't translate to real opportunities. This strategic approach makes social media a business development tool rather than a distraction from important work. Evening digital shutdown routines protect their sleep quality and morning focus by creating clear boundaries between work time and rest time. They stop checking emails at least 2 hours before bedtime to prevent work stress from interfering with sleep preparation. They charge their devices outside their bedroom to eliminate the temptation for late-night checking. They use analog alarm clocks instead of their phones to avoid immediately accessing digital information upon waking. They complete all digital tasks before their shutdown time so they don't feel compelled to check devices after their cutoff. This separation allows their minds to transition naturally into rest mode and wake up refreshed, rather than immediately reactive to digital demands. Batching similar digital tasks minimizes context switching throughout the day and maintains their focus on priority activities. They check and respond to emails during designated periods, rather than continuously throughout the day. They schedule all their phone calls within specific time blocks when possible. They handle administrative tasks like expense reports and scheduling during dedicated administrative periods. They process social media activities, including posting and engagement, during concentrated social media sessions. This batching approach reduces the mental energy required to switch between different types of activities and allows them to complete similar tasks more efficiently than handling them randomly throughout the day. They treat attention as their most valuable resource and guard it more carefully than they protect their money or time. They understand that their ability to focus deeply on important work determines their results more than the number of hours they work or the amount of effort they expend. They invest in tools, systems, and environments that support sustained attention rather than fragment it. They make decisions based on how activities will affect their ability to concentrate, rather than just considering immediate convenience or social expectations. This attention-first approach guides all their technology choices and digital habits because they recognize that protecting their focus capacity enables everything else they've built. Their goal systems work better when they can concentrate deeply on implementation. Their priority decisions improve when they're not constantly reacting to digital interruptions. Their relationships strengthen when they can give people their full attention. Their energy stays higher when they're not depleting it through constant task switching. Their learning accelerates when they can process information without distraction. But protecting their attention serves a larger purpose that most people completely miss. All these habits and systems create the mental space necessary for recognizing and acting on the opportunities that actually build wealth in our rapidly changing economy. Financial momentum building. Successful people understand that wealth creation requires systematic approaches that most people never develop. Recent wealth tracking data reveals that 78% of new millionaires in 2025 built their fortunes using methods that didn't exist 10 years ago. These aren't people who inherited money or won the lottery. They're individuals who started with average incomes and systematically built wealth through approaches that traditional financial advisors still don't understand. While most people follow outdated advice about saving money in low-interest accounts and investing in index funds, today's wealth builders have discovered entirely different pathways to financial success. Their approach to money differs fundamentally from traditional wealth-building advice that focuses on restriction and delayed gratification. Instead of cutting expenses and living below their means, they concentrate on expanding their means through multiple income sources. Instead of waiting decades for compound interest to work, they create systems that generate immediate cash flow while building long-term assets. Instead of following generic investment strategies, they develop personalized wealth-building approaches that match their skills, interests, and market opportunities. This shift from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking transforms their entire relationship with money. Their daily financial habits create multiple income streams through systematic activities that most people never consider. Every morning, they review their financial dashboard that tracks income from all sources, not just their primary job. They spend time identifying potential revenue opportunities in their existing network and skill set. They allocate specific periods for income-generating activities that aren't part of their main work responsibilities. They track their financial metrics as closely as athletes track their performance statistics, monitoring trends and patterns that indicate whether their wealth-building efforts are accelerating or stagnating. These daily financial activities include creating content that can generate passive income, building relationships that lead to business opportunities, and developing skills that increase their earning potential. They might spend 30 minutes writing articles that establish their expertise and attract consulting clients. They could dedicate time to learning about emerging technologies that create new business possibilities. They often allocate periods for reaching out to potential collaborators or partners who could help expand their income sources. This consistent daily investment in wealth-building activities compounds over time, just like traditional investments, but with much faster results. Their systematic approach to identifying emerging opportunities requires staying ahead of market trends while others are still learning about them. They monitor multiple industries for shifts that create new demand or eliminate old solutions. They participate in online communities where early adopters discuss new technologies and market changes. They attend virtual events and conferences that focus on emerging opportunities rather than established industries. This early awareness allows them to position themselves advantageously before opportunities become obvious to everyone else. When they identify promising opportunities, they have systematic evaluation processes that help them decide which ones deserve their time and resources. They assess opportunities based on their potential return, required investment, timeline to profitability, and alignment with their existing skills and interests. They research the market size and competition level for new opportunities. They seek advice from people who have experience in similar areas. They test opportunities with minimal investment before committing significant resources. This systematic evaluation prevents them from chasing every shiny opportunity while ensuring they don't miss genuinely valuable ones. Technology and automation optimize their financial decisions by eliminating emotional reactions and ensuring consistent execution of their wealth-building strategies. They use automated investment platforms that execute their investment strategies without requiring daily decisions. They set up automatic transfers that fund their various investment accounts before they can spend the money elsewhere. They use budgeting software that tracks their spending patterns and alerts them when they exceed predetermined limits. This automation removes the human tendency to make poor financial decisions during emotional periods or busy times. Their financial automation extends to income generation through systems that work without constant supervision. They create online courses that generate revenue while they sleep. They build affiliate marketing systems that earn commissions from products they recommend. They develop software or apps that solve problems for specific markets. They create subscription-based services that provide ongoing value to customers. These automated income systems require significant upfront work to establish but then generate money with minimal ongoing effort. Reinvesting profits and scaling, successful ventures follow specific protocols that maximize growth while managing risk appropriately. When a venture generates profit, they immediately reinvest a predetermined percentage back into growing that venture, rather than spending the money on personal expenses. They analyze which aspects of successful ventures can be replicated or expanded to serve larger markets. They hire other people to handle routine aspects of successful ventures so they can focus on growth and new opportunities. Risk management strategies protect their wealth while enabling continued growth through diversification and careful planning. They never put all their financial resources into a single venture or investment category. They maintain emergency funds that cover several months of expenses, even while pursuing aggressive growth strategies. They use insurance and legal structures that protect their assets from potential business liabilities. They regularly review and adjust their risk exposure as their wealth grows and their life circumstances change. Leveraging other people's skills, time, and resources accelerates their progress far beyond what they could achieve working alone. They hire freelancers and contractors to handle tasks outside their core competencies. They form partnerships with people who have complementary skills or resources. They use other people's money through loans, investors, or crowdfunding to fund their ventures. They join mastermind groups and coaching programs that provide access to expertise and connections they couldn't access independently. They treat wealth building as a learnable skill set rather than luck or talent, which means they approach it systematically and expect to improve over time. They study successful people's strategies and adapt them to their own situations. They track their results and analyze what works best for their particular circumstances. They experiment with new approaches while maintaining their proven strategies. They view setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. This systematic approach to wealth building creates consistent progress toward their financial goals while building the skills and knowledge that enable even greater success in the future. But financial success means nothing if you can't handle the inevitable challenges that come with ambitious goals. The pressure of building wealth, managing multiple income streams, and taking calculated risks creates stress that breaks most people before they reach their objectives. Mental resilience architecture. Successful people have developed what researchers call mental resilience architecture. Research tracking resilience patterns reveals a startling discovery about successful people. They experience 23% more setbacks than average performers, yet they recover 67% faster from those setbacks. This isn't coincidence or luck. Successful people actively put themselves in situations where failure is possible because they understand that avoiding challenges also means avoiding growth. They take on bigger projects, pursue more ambitious goals, and attempt things that stretch their capabilities. This increased exposure to potential failure naturally leads to more setbacks, but their systematic approach to mental resilience transforms these setbacks into accelerated learning experiences. Most people think resilience is an inborn trait that some people have and others lack. They believe successful people are naturally tougher or more optimistic than everyone else. This misconception prevents them from developing their own resilience because they assume it can't be improved. Meanwhile, successful people understand that mental toughness operates like physical fitness. It responds to specific training methods, improves with consistent practice, and deteriorates without regular maintenance. They approach psychological resilience as a skill set that requires deliberate development rather than hoping they'll naturally handle pressure better over time. Their mental frameworks turn obstacles into advantages through systematic reframing techniques that change how they interpret challenging situations. When faced with unexpected problems, they immediately ask what opportunities this situation creates, rather than focusing on what went wrong. They look for ways the obstacle might redirect them toward better solutions they wouldn't have discovered otherwise. They consider how overcoming this challenge will strengthen their capabilities for future situations. They examine whether this setback reveals important information about their strategies, markets, or assumptions that they need to address. This reframing process happens automatically because they've trained themselves to search for advantages in every difficult situation. Building psychological resilience requires systematic daily practices that strengthen their mental capacity gradually over time. They start each morning by reviewing their core values and long-term objectives to maintain perspective on temporary challenges. They practice controlled breathing exercises that activate their parasympathetic nervous system and improve their stress response. They engage in physical activities that build both physical and mental toughness simultaneously. They expose themselves to small controlled stressors that increase their tolerance for uncertainty and discomfort. They end each day by reviewing what they learned from any challenges they faced and how they can apply those lessons going forward. Their emotional regulation practices include specific techniques for managing different types of stress and pressure. When facing deadline pressure, they break large tasks into smaller components to maintain momentum and confidence. When dealing with interpersonal conflicts, they pause to consider multiple perspectives before responding emotionally. When experiencing financial stress, they focus on actions they can take rather than circumstances beyond their control. When handling uncertainty about outcomes, they prepare multiple contingency plans that reduce anxiety about unknown futures. These targeted approaches ensure they respond appropriately to different types of challenges, rather than using generic stress management techniques. Maintaining perspective during challenging periods requires daily practices that connect temporary difficulties to larger purposes and longer timelines. They regularly review their progress over months and years, rather than judging themselves based on daily fluctuations. They maintain lists of previous challenges they've overcome successfully to remind themselves of their capability during difficult periods. They connect current struggles to their larger life mission and legacy goals to maintain motivation when immediate results seem discouraging. They seek input from trusted advisors who can provide objective perspectives when they're too close to problems to see clearly. Reframing failures as data and learning opportunities happens through specific analysis protocols that extract maximum value from every setback. Within 24 hours of any significant failure, they conduct detailed reviews to identify what factors contributed to the negative outcome. They separate controllable factors from uncontrollable circumstances to focus their improvement efforts appropriately. They analyze their decision-making process to identify any cognitive biases or emotional influences that led to poor choices. They examine their preparation and execution to determine which skills or knowledge gaps they need to address. They document their findings and create specific action plans for avoiding similar failures in the future. Visualization and mental rehearsal prepare them for difficult situations by allowing them to practice their responses before challenges occur. They regularly imagine themselves handling various types of pressure situations calmly and effectively. They visualize specific scenarios they might encounter in their business or personal life and practice their ideal responses. They mentally rehearse important presentations, negotiations, or conversations before they happen. They imagine themselves recovering quickly from potential setbacks and maintaining confidence during difficult periods. This mental practice strengthens their neural pathways for effective responses and reduces anxiety when similar situations actually occur. Support system strategies provide encouragement without enabling victim thinking through carefully selected relationships and clear communication boundaries. They surround themselves with people who believe in their capabilities while holding them accountable for their actions and results. They seek advice from mentors who have overcome similar challenges rather than just seeking sympathy from friends. They participate in peer groups where members support each other's growth rather than just complaining about difficulties. They communicate their challenges in ways that focus on solutions and learning rather than blame and frustration. Decision-making frameworks that work under pressure follow systematic processes that maintain quality even when stakes are high and information is limited. They identify the core factors that must be considered for each type of decision they face regularly. They establish criteria for evaluating options that remain consistent regardless of external pressure. They create time limits for decision-making that prevent analysis paralysis while ensuring adequate consideration. They develop contingency plans that reduce the consequences of wrong decisions and increase their willingness to act decisively. They treat mental toughness as a trainable skill that improves with practice, rather than a fixed character trait that determines their ceiling for achievement. They track their resilience patterns and identify specific areas where they can build greater mental strength. They seek out controlled challenges that stretch their comfort zones and build confidence in their ability to handle difficulty. They study how other successful people have overcome similar obstacles and adapt their strategies to their own situations. This systematic approach to building mental resilience creates sustainable confidence that supports their ambitious goals regardless of what challenges they encounter. But mental resilience serves a purpose beyond just surviving difficult periods. The strongest, successful people understand that true resilience comes from connecting every challenge they face to something larger than themselves. They've discovered that their ability to persist through setbacks and maintain motivation depends entirely on how they view their legacy-driven daily actions in the context of what they want their life to represent. This deeper purpose emerges through what successful people call legacy-driven daily actions. Recent research tracking decision patterns reveals that 91% of highly successful people make daily decisions based on their desired legacy rather than immediate gratification. While most people make decisions based on what feels good right now or what seems easiest in the moment, successful people consistently ask themselves how each choice will affect the life they want to be remembered for. This legacy-first thinking guides everything from how they spend their morning hours to which opportunities they accept and which relationships they invest their time building. The emotional connection between mundane daily tasks and their larger life purpose transforms routine activities into meaningful contributions toward their ultimate objectives. When they answer emails, they consider how their communication style reflects the values they want to embody. When they choose what to eat for lunch, they think about how their health decisions will affect their ability to serve others and achieve their goals over decades. When they decide how to spend their evening hours, they evaluate whether those activities move them closer to or further from the person they want to become. This constant connection between daily actions and life purpose eliminates the feeling that they're just going through the motions or wasting time on meaningless tasks. Their practice of legacy filtering involves evaluating every significant choice through the lens of long-term impact rather than short-term convenience or pleasure. Before accepting speaking engagements, they ask whether this opportunity will advance their mission and build their reputation in ways that matter for their legacy. Before making major purchases, they consider whether this expense aligns with their values and supports their long-term objectives. Before choosing how to respond to conflicts or difficult situations, they think about what response would make them proud when they look back years later. This filtering process eliminates decisions that feel good momentarily, but create problems or regrets over time. Balancing present enjoyment with future significance requires sophisticated decision-making frameworks that honor both immediate well-being and long-term impact. They don't sacrifice all present pleasure for future goals, because they understand that sustainable success requires enjoying the journey as well as the destination. Instead, they choose present activities that provide both immediate satisfaction and long-term value. They might choose to exercise because it feels good now and builds the health they need for future service. They select social activities that they enjoy, while also strengthening relationships that matter for their legacy. They pursue hobbies that provide relaxation while developing skills or knowledge that could benefit their larger mission. Staying motivated during routine periods requires connecting everyday activities to their bigger meaning through specific mental practices they use consistently. During administrative tasks like filing paperwork or updating financial records, they remind themselves that good organization supports their ability to focus on important work. During routine maintenance activities like cleaning their workspace or updating their systems, they think about how these actions create environments that support their peak performance. During repetitive tasks, like following up with contacts or practicing skills, they connect these activities to their long-term vision of the expertise and relationships they're building. Their legacy vision guides major decisions about career choices, relationship investments, and time allocation through clear criteria they've developed and refined over time. Career opportunities get evaluated based on whether they'll provide experiences, skills, and connections that advance their long-term mission rather than just immediate income or recognition. Relationship investments focus on people who share their values and could become lifelong collaborators in meaningful work rather than just those who provide short-term networking benefits. Time allocation prioritizes activities that build lasting value over those that provide immediate gratification but don't contribute to their larger purpose. Regular review and refinement of their legacy goals happens through scheduled sessions where they examine whether their vision still matches their evolving understanding of themselves and their potential impact. As they gain experience and develop new capabilities, their sense of what's possible for their legacy expands and changes. They conduct quarterly reviews where they evaluate whether their current goals still inspire them and reflect their highest aspirations. They seek feedback from trusted advisors about whether their stated legacy goals match the impact they're actually having. They adjust their vision based on new opportunities they discover and new needs they become aware of in their communities or industries. Involving others in their legacy building creates shared purpose and accountability that amplifies their impact while providing mutual support during challenging periods. They share their vision with family members, colleagues, and friends who can help them stay accountable to their stated values and objectives. They invite others to participate in projects that advance their legacy goals, creating collaborative efforts that achieve more than they could accomplish alone. They mentor younger people who share their values and could continue their work in future generations. This collaborative approach transforms their individual vision into a movement that extends beyond their personal efforts. Measuring progress on legacy goals alongside traditional success metrics requires developing new ways to evaluate their impact that go beyond financial returns or recognition. They track how many people they've helped develop their potential through mentoring, teaching, or creating opportunities. They monitor the positive changes they've influenced in their communities, industries, or organizations. They measure the quality of relationships they've built with people who matter for their values and mission. They evaluate whether their work is creating lasting value that will continue benefiting others after they're no longer actively involved. They treat each day as an opportunity to build the life they want to be remembered for, through specific daily practices that connect their immediate actions to their ultimate legacy. Morning reflection sessions include questions about how they can advance their legacy goals through the day's activities. Evening reviews examine whether their actions during the day reflected their stated values and moved them closer to their vision. Weekly planning prioritizes activities that contribute to their long-term impact rather than just their short-term obligations. This daily connection between present actions and future legacy ensures that their ordinary days accumulate into an extraordinary life that makes the difference they want to make in the world. Understanding these individual habits provides the foundation, but the real transformation happens when you recognize how each element connects to and strengthens every other element. These interconnected systems create exponential improvements when implemented together. Your goal architecture supports better priority decisions. Strong relationships accelerate your learning opportunities. Digital boundaries protect your energy for important work. Financial momentum provides resources for legacy building. Mental resilience sustains everything during difficult periods. Choose one habit to implement immediately and track your progress for 30 days. Start with whichever area feels most challenging for you right now. Monitor how this single change affects your other activities and results. Success in 2025 belongs to those who adapt their daily routines to match the demands of our rapidly evolving world.